Now, here's our Port Orford cedar.
Okay.
It's already tapered on the end.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is put on your knock. And we're just going to glue that right on the end. So we're just going to take a little bit of our hot glue and a lighter, if I've got one here. Here we go. And a lighter. So we just heat up the glue. Now this glue here is really pretty good. You can get cheaper glue at Canadian Tire, but this kind of glue here will stay on really good when the weather gets cold. So we just can heat it up and it will just stick right onto the shaft like that, you see? Okay, so we've got our glue on there. And now what else we're going to do, now what I'm going to do is line up the notch. The way I like to have mine run along with the shaft. Now, in the ancient world, they used to cut it across the shaft because the strength of the string might break the shaft. But I put it on not that way. I put the groove up and down along with this. It's easy to line up, and it's quite springy, and it does work. So anyhow, we just have to heat up the glue again. That's all you do with this stuff. And you just put it on, turn it so that it spreads it out, and I'm just lining up the slot along the lines there. See? Now, you notice it's got a little bump on the side there?
Oh, yes.
Now, that's an indexer, and it's relatively unimportant. Like, technically, you should be able to close your eyes and feel the indexer and put your arrow on the correct way. You're not stupid. You can see that it has a slot in it, and you just put it on, but that's what that's for.
Oh, really?
So, when we...
Just in case you didn't know.
Just in case. Now, when we let this glue dry just for a minute, it starts to congeal and get hard, and before it gets real hard, you can just...
Scrape it.
Squeeze it off, pinch it off, and make it nice and tidy. Okay, so there we go. Now there's our knock on there first. Now the next step is we want to put on our head. This plastic bag is stronger than me. Okay, so now we've got our head. So this has a taper on it, so what we do is we take our tapering tool, and let's see. This one has the longer slot, so this is going to be it's a longer taper than the taper at the back, so that's the longer slot. So it just simply goes in there, and all we have to do is make like a pencil sharpener. We've got a taper on here, and there's a taper equal to that inside here. So back to the magic glue. Every caveman should have had some of this stuff in his cave, you know. And we just heat it up, and again we put it on fairly liberally. If you put just a little dab, well, when it gets cold and that, it'll congeal and it might pop off. So it's good to put on enough. Like so. So again, we just heat it up. Put our tip on there. You can even heat that a little tiny bit and just screw it. And on it goes. And you can just push on it. And in a matter of a couple seconds, it started to harden. So we're going to leave this little bit of goo that's come out for a minute until it starts to stiffen up, and then we'll just peel it off too.
Okay.
So that's that was the next step. Now what we want to do is get our feathers on. So these jigs, they have 3 different positions. You see? So all I did was take a little felt pen and mark mine so that it always starts at the same spot. Okay, so the little dot lines up. And that little slot inside the, I guess the adapter here, is where we just insert this. So we can just insert that right on there like that, and put it in our jig. Okay. So now the jig is holding the guy, and we know that we're going to get everything lined up 120 degrees each time for our feathers. So now the next step is to put on our feathers. What I did, I found a spot where my fingers would fit on the arrow, nice and comfortably, and so I wanted my feathers to be ahead of that spot, you know?
Okay.
So basically, when I found a spot that I liked, I made a little mark on the jig, so that now all I have to do is put my feather in there and just line it up to that spot, and if you just rub your finger along there, it'll slide in.
Alright.
Now we just take our glue. And this is tape. Now, it's not necessary to use tape. You could just use glue, but that glue takes 20 minutes to dry. So rather than wait 20 minutes and then turn it once and put on a feather and wait 20 minutes and turn it once and put on another, that's an hour. This tape is going to let us put on our feathers in just a couple of minutes. So it's double-sided tape, works really good. It's made by Boning. Just feel for the...
Oh, there it is. I can see it.
Oh, there it is, okay. Oh yeah, okay. There we go. First one's the hardest. Anyhow, we get our tape like so. And what we're going to do, so you see there's a little bit of a taper on the end of your feather, the way they knock it off.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just start with the square part on the end because it's square.
Okay.
And I'll just put it on there. And then I'll just look at it and just run the tape along the feather. And you can always peel it off if, like then it wasn't going on quite straight. And we've got our tape on there, right? Okay, so now I need a pair of scissors, which magically appear. Now, so you see that's on a little bit of an angle? So I'm just going to cut it so that it follows that angle.
Kind of follows the same.
That way, when I push it down, it's going to have the complete end covered, you know? Okay? So, all we got to do is take off the protection tape, I guess it's called. And we got this lined up. So now this is just going to sit on our magnet up here. You know, our magnet holds it on, you see?
Okay.
So we can just put it on that magnet and just line it up at the back here and just push it down. Like so.
Alright.
Right, so the back just fits against the back of that and it just slides down on it. And when we take off our jig, wango tango, instant feather. Now what I do now is just to make sure that it's down there nice, I'll just put my thumb on it, square onto it, and just run along the feather.
Okay.
Okay? And then I'll just turn this to the next spot, and this will go down, and that will fit in there again. Once again, feather time.
Feather time.
We line it up against the little mark that we've already made. Just give it a little bit of a push and it will fit itself into the slot. Once again, we take our tape. Now this time you can see that there's a little angle on it because I cut it on an angle. So this time I'll just put it at the front because it's on that angle.
Already there.
And get it started. And then we just, again, just run our tape along. cut it off again. Peel off the protection. Again, we're going to line the back up against there and just slide it straight down. And just press it down. Lift it off. Got our second feather, nicely angled 120 degrees. We just press it down again. Click over to the third position, put it back in. You know the routine. So again, we just put it inside, line it up at that spot, press it in, it will just fit in there.
Could I do the last?
Yeah, you
feather?
can.
Oh, you want me to do it now?
Oh, well, this is the last one. Yeah, so you do it.
There's like 3 or 4 feathers?
There's 3. We're using 3. Some
Oh.
people use 4, but really 3 is quite adequate.
Okay.
It's the handiest stuff going.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
It's handy to have fingernails. Yeah, you got to just, if you just hook
Take
it a
it
couple
out?
of times, yeah, it just comes right off like that. That's good.
Oops. The feather came out.
Yeah, so just push it in. It'll push down. Yeah, that's it.
And now...
Now the
What's
back
this?
against the back, and then just put the magnet on and slide
Oh,
it
the
straight
feather
down.
moved.
It moved?
I mean, this guy moved. The arrow moved.
Well, it's still there. It's still there.
Oh.
It might have bounced a bit, but it still looks like it's there.
No, look. That's too close. The whole arrow...
Oh, I
moved.
see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, you got to make sure. You see in here, there's a little bar, so
Oh,
the
I
knock
see.
has to fit on it, right? So when it's in there like that, that's good. So there we go.
Okay.
Oops.
So, from there...
Now just press it down a little bit, and then take it off. You want to press it down just to make sure that the arrow is touching along there, but it looks like it is, so that's good.
That's it?
Yeah,
How do you-
it sticks instant. Oh, it's not good. Okay. Is the glue on the feather?
Oh.
Oh, you
This
took
is-
they took the whole tape off. Okay.
Glitch. Glitch.
Well, let's do it again.
Okay.
So when you hook it with your finger, you just want to hook your thumbnail enough to take the pink stuff off and leave the glue on.
I see.
And by doing this process, you can make an arrow really in just, when you get used to it, just in a matter of a few minutes. And if your feathers get really torn up, eventually you can just take them off and put on new ones.
You know, you did this so much faster.
Okay, now this time let's just hook the plastic. Did you push it in a little too far at the back?
I think so.
Okay. If that happens, all you got to do is just relieve the pressure here, and it should pop right back out. Let me see here. What I would do is start again. That's what I would do. Okay, now I can see where it is.
Okay.
So we're going to line it up in here
Mm-hmm.
and just push that in.
Okay.
Now,
The flicking now.
yeah, so you just want to hook sideways on it. See?
Oh, I see the difference.
Yeah, you see it now?
I see it.
Yeah.
I see what's supposed to remain there.
Yeah. And then it comes off real easy.
Well,
It's a hair or something, I don't know, a
no,
piece of
it's
plastic.
another piece
Okay.
of plastic.
So that should be good now this time.
Yes.
And now when we put
So
that...
which, okay, this way.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And now...
Oh, wait a minute. And that, no, this has come out
And
again,
that
right?
moved.
So you want to make sure that's in there. Okay, now we're good. When the magnet clicks, it kind of lines it up for you, you see? And then you just press it down, and that should be stuck. Okay, and now you can take your arrow out and just run your thumb straight down on it to press that down. Okay, so now you've got an arrow and you've got feathers on it. Now, stick your thumbnail in there and see if you can peel that off. It's dried for a while, so it'll be a bit hard.
I can still do it.
Yeah. So that comes out pretty tidy. Yep, that's good. Just put it down on the table, kind of thing. Okay, so now we've kind of got an arrow, but here's what we want to do now.
Okay.
What I do, if you take a look, you see on the feather there's a little notch. See that little notch? Well, if you rub your finger up there, that's very sharp. Right?
Oh, you're right.
Okay. So what you do is you take an X-Acto knife and you just nick off that corner. If you just see that right there,
I see.
like that,
Yeah.
and you just
slowly.
it would be nice to have an X-Acto knife that
Not
I
very
can
sharp.
cut. Oh, did I throw it? Oh, there's this one. No, this. Let's get it out there long enough that it's sharp.
It's a newer knife, yeah.
But anyhow, we just nick off. Yeah, see how that comes off really easy? Just feel that now.
Yes.
Pretty smooth, right?
Nice.
Okay, so you just
Can you see that or no?
nick that off like that,
That's pretty awesome.
and it's smooth on your hand, right? Get a little closer so I can see him holding it. But that's all you do. Okay, you nick off that little piece, and you'll see that it gets pretty smooth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that one there is not really smooth yet. Okay, so that's nice and smooth now. What I do sometimes is I'll take a little piece of, tiny piece of sandpaper. This is not 100% necessary because it's pretty smooth, but a lot of times I'll also take a piece of sandpaper and just go zip, zip, zip. You know,
Yeah, it's just
really
a nice
smooth.
little addition.
Yeah, it's really smooth now. So now we've got an arrow made. We've got feathers on it. It only took us a few minutes. Now, this tape works really great, but here's a guarantee. This is also really good glue, okay? So what I do, just to ensure that it doesn't lift up, because if it gets real hot, a real hot day, it can lift up sometimes, is I take this kind of glue, and this is the final little touch. So what I'll do then is I'll just take this glue and see if we get some coming out. There it is. And all I'll do is just run it, a little bead of it, just right along the feather like that. And then I'll put a little extra right on the tip, a little bit on the back, and you just run it along. If you go back and forth like that, it fills it right in, eh? Now, when this dries, which is 20 minutes, that feather's going to be on there like it was cemented there. And because you could use the tape, you could put the feathers on in just a minute. Then then at your own convenience, you can glue it with this glue that takes 20 minutes. And you know, by the time you've watched television for a few minutes, all your arrows are dry and everything's good. Okay, so that's how I make arrows.
It is not as hard as I thought.
Yeah, so those are the steps, and if you follow those steps, you'll get real nice feathers all lined up. Something that I also do with my own arrows, which a lot of people might not want to do, but you'll notice that my nock is big and this is tight. See that?
Oh,
so
yeah.
People want these snap-on nocks because it will snap onto their string and it holds it there. I don't like that myself. Our ancestors never had snap-on nocks, and if you pass me that bow behind you. Okay, watch this. If you have a knock on like this, right, and you've shot the bow, watch my string bend. See the string bending?
Yes. Okay.
That's how much a knock slows your arrow down.
Oh, I see what you. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Without anything there, it just comes right off the string. So this modern idea about, you know, snap knocks is nonsense as far as I'm concerned. So I file mine so that they will fall. Well, they'll fall right off. If you look at my.
Oh, so you file? Or
I take a piece of sandpaper.
Oh no way!
And I just zip, zip, zip.
Right in the middle.
Go right in the middle, and I have no resistance. When I let go, the arrow's gone.
Yes.
So
Okay,
that's just
let's go ahead and file
the
that.
thing I do. Well, you don't have your string here, so what you want to do is have your string, and you just file
According to
until
the
it fits
string.
your serving, right?
Okay.
But that's what you do, and that will work really
Look
good.
at this ruler.
Yeah, simple.
Perfect. He's so homemade.
Simple, but it works, you know.
Love it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
that's how you make an arrow. Now you can go and make a bunch of arrows.
Shoot something.
Now, this arrow hasn't been coated though, so something that you can use. What I use is just polyurethane.
Okay.
You can just get a Canadian Tire little can of polyurethane, right?
Even though we've already made this one, I can
Yeah,
just
you
go
just
over it.
yeah, just paint right on over it, and it would be
Okay.
fine.
And how many layers of that should I use?
I just use one. You know,
one?
here's
Okay.
like I'm making some arrows right now.
You're so
The
quiet.
polyurethane dries really quick. There's some that I coated last night with one coating, you know.
Oh, perfect. See the difference?
It makes the grain show up. It gives good protection from the rain and all that kind of stuff. It's relatively cheap. You just brush it on and it'll soak in.
Yeah.
And that's how you make your arrows.
Looks good. All right, I'm gonna make sure I go buy that.
Okay.
And file. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.